What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Trick 10s. This is the final build video of the 1660 Jet John. This is the HydroTurf that we're putting in here. This is a brown camo HydroTurf. It's a 1/2-inch cut groove. Now, the way that I started installing this, I took a straight edge and put it all the way across the console and ran it all the way up to the bow of the boat. Drew a line there. That's where I'm going to start at with this piece I'm installing right now. Then I just tuck it into the corners, cut it off with a razor knife. Now, it's very important if you're going to be using this cut groove turf that you make sure your edges are completely square. We had to cut these all down and trim them. And we have to make sure that our next piece that goes in will line up with this piece that we just put in. I had to cut back all of these hatches in and come back and cut all the hinges and everything and do all the fine tuning on them. But I put 2 big sheets to cover up the entire deck, and they brought me back into my big storage compartments on the port and starboard side of the hull. Now, it is very nice having someone help you when you're installing these big sheets, especially with the 1/2-inch cut groove, because you really have to cut these things perfectly. But not only that, when you install them, you got to tuck them in tight to make sure that your seams line up perfectly and you can keep your lines straight. The abstract pattern of the camo design definitely helps hide the seams a little bit, but if you don't do this right the first time, you're never going to be able to come back and fix it without tearing these sheets out, and these things are not cheap. It's a lot of tedious work, and you really just have to take your time with it. All in all, I've got about 15 hours into the turf install in this boat. Now, we only had 4 sheets of turf in this entire boat, but a lot of the pieces I put inside of the compartments, they were all cut up into little pieces. I had to fit them together. I didn't have enough sheets to do them all in big pieces. If you wanted to do this thing with a minimal seams, it would easily have taken 6 sheets to do this. But it looks really good. The turf pattern is really cool. I have not installed this pattern in a boat before, so I was really hyped about using it. And the way that it just laid out, we got really lucky with some of our sizes. Now, all of our big pieces that we put on the top deck, they all seem to fit together without any major issues. I did have to put the floor in 2 pieces, but with the 1/2-inch cut groove, it's pretty easy to hide those lines as long as your cuts are nice and straight. The drop-down cockpit area of this boat, it looks really cool. I had an issue with the way the cut groove goes. I couldn't figure out if I wanted to keep the turf pattern going the same from bow to stern on the side vertical walls or not, and I did. And actually, I'm glad that I did, because I think it looks really good that way. The vertical walls in the front and back, they are going up and down, so all the turf is running from bow to stern. Now, this big hatch, this was a little bit complicated for the motor cover cowling, but what I did was I cut a piece that would fit from the front of it and wrap over the top and the back, and I left the sides long. That way, this whole thing is one piece. And then I came back and folded them down. As you can see here, I'm trimming up these corners on a 45-degree angle and tucking them tight. That way, there's no pieces in there. The only seams are on the corners going up on that 45 tapered piece. I'm almost done with this turf now. I've just got this last couple of pieces in this back deck. We are running extremely low on turf pieces at this point. I have got to finish up the rest of everything I'm going to do in here with these tiny little pieces. So it gets to be a little bit more involved when you start running out of the big pieces of turf. Now, we had put these gas pistons on the inside of this big hatch, and these are very important because this hatch is heavy. And not only do they help you open it, but they will hold it open and take some of that tension and pressure off of the hinge while it's in the upright position. And I've also got to figure out the latches on these handles. They're going to be a little different because they don't lay flush into the deck. They sit up on a 45-degree angle. So the little cam latches on the back of these 2 hatches we're installing right now, these were custom built in-house. They did turn out good, and it does hold it down, and it works perfectly. We're getting down to the end of the wire now. We are installing these custom-made battery trays. These are going to hold these Dakota lithium batteries that are going to power the trolling motor. Now, he is also going to be running a 12-volt system off of this for the switch panel to power the LED lights in here, because the only other battery he has is a very small lawnmower cranking battery for the engine that's in the back of the boat. He might add another battery in here eventually, but this is the way we're going to set it up for now. I've still got to do all this wiring. I'm hooking up the control panel and the battery terminals for the trolling motor and stuff like that. And the last bit of piece of electronics is going to be this puck for his Minn Kota trolling motor. This is basically just like the sonar puck that tells you the navigational. It helps with the spot lock and stuff like that. Tighten up all the wires. On to the last little pieces now. A couple pieces of turf. Now it's time for decals. I'm gonna go ahead and throw some music on here. I'm gonna roll this thing out for another minute, and then I'll give you guys a full walkthrough in just a second. Let's get back to work. All right, guys, so it seems surreal to finally say this, but the Jetboat is completed. This thing turned out amazing. It looks so good. Look at this turf. I mean, the colorway is a brown camo hydro turf. It's got a 1/2-inch cut groove. It makes it a little bit difficult to install, but it turned out amazing. It looks so good. I mean, I couldn't have asked for anything else out of this boat. I got all the decals on the outside. I got decals inside of my hatch lids. LED strip lights are installed. Trolling motor's hooked up. I cranked the motor for a second. It almost started. I'm going to put this thing out on the water very shortly. So the guy that owns this boat is named Omar, and he lives about 4 or 5 hours away from here, and he's going to come pick this thing up on Saturday. Now, it's not like he's going to leave his house at midnight and get here at 5 o'clock in the morning, and we're going to hit the sun up. So I'm going to put this thing out on the water before he gets here. Today is Thursday. It's about 8 o'clock. It's getting late. I've been working on this thing for like the past 5 hours, just trying to finish everything up. But I'm going to take it out tomorrow night before he gets here, put it in the water right at sundown, get all the pictures and video that I want for my social media sites and for this video right here, because that's important. And when he gets here, it's going to be 11 o'clock in the afternoon. He's not going to hang around till dark for me to get those photos that I need. So tomorrow night, I'm going to take this thing out. I'm going to do my own walkthrough and water test and get all the pictures and videos that I want to have for myself. Also, big news, guys, got a surprise for you. My homeboy, Matt Streichel with SBFISHINGTV is also coming down on Saturday. He's going to be here when Omar's here. He's going to be shooting another walkthrough and on the water test. I haven't seen Matt in a while, so I'm looking forward to that. He hasn't even seen my Poseidon boat, so I'm probably going to pull that thing out too. Who knows? We might do a couple of videos while he's here. It's always a good time. But it's going to be cool to get back on SBFISHINGTV's channel. And this boat right here should bring some good views. This thing has a ton of work into it. I mean, hundreds and hundreds of hours went into this build. It just turned out phenomenal. I'll turn this camera around and give you all a quick walkthrough real quick. All right, so here it is, completely finished. A lot of work. This thing turned out sick. This is the Express 1660 Jet John. My buddy Frankie hooked me up with all these logos and decals. It's turned out really good. We turfed the entire interior of this thing, all down inside, every piece. I can't wait to get this thing in the water. I'm gonna be standing up here driving this thing, this brand new Minn Kota trolling motor. I did hook up the remote for it. That should be cool too, to use that and run around with it without anybody in the boat and get some really cool pictures of it. Let's open up some of these compartments and look inside of here. This one houses 2 Dakota Lithium 100 amp hour batteries. Got his fuse for the trolling motor right there. It worked out good the way I did this because this panel has a hole here and so does this foot pedal tray. So you can pass wires through there pretty easily. If he wants to add a graph or something, these are going to be the same batteries that he's probably going to run the graph off of. This is a cool little day box. It's got his remote in there. This pan's removable. All these pans are removable with the exception of the one over there. That's a permanent one. And it's just a little shallow one because the rod locker's over there. We got turf inside of all these hatches. This is a good size hatch right here. This hatch is 40 inches long. It's about 11 inches deep. This one's pretty big too. This one's 26 by 12. Lots of storage. This back one right here is basically just for access. I thought about putting a little pan in here, but I don't think he needs it. And this is just so you can get in here, get to the battery, charge it. He's gonna have to pull that pan out all the time to get to that battery if it was in there. Got another storage hatch over here. Really, really cool rig, lots of storage. And he's got a big rod locker. I think the rod locker ended up being 8.5 feet long. I did put some carpet inside of here. It's like a tan carpet. I had some of that left over. You can see all these hatches have these drain tubes in here too. Run down to the bottom of the hole. There's a hole up top right here. We don't got to worry about water getting in there. Definitely don't want that carpet to be getting all wet and soggy. This is the other little day box I was talking about. It's just a shallow one. That one's not removable. That's basically just going to be like for phone, pliers, stuff like that. And then we got the big hatch right here. This one's pretty cool. It's got the motor in there. This one does have gas pistons on it. This thing is humongous, and they definitely help opening this thing up. We're going to see what this baby can do very shortly. All right, guys, so I'm pumped. This thing is finally done. This whole project's been going on for over a year, and it's finished. And now I've got another big boat coming in here. It's a 2072. It's huge, and it's getting a full build on it. It's going to be insane. So y'all stay tuned and check that out. It's going to be coming up very shortly. I appreciate you guys watching. Hit that like, subscribe button. Leave a comment. If you guys want any merchandise, you can find all that stuff on trick10s.net. If you want me to help you out with a build, send me an email at professionalwelding@gmail.com. Go check out my website, Trick 10s John Boats. I got a bunch of my hatches up there. If you want something custom that you don't see up there, I can make it for you. I'll see y'all next time. Let's get back to work.